Hey there, and welcome to the podcast Tiling Connect, hosted by Mark Moskwa. This show is designed to connect people with the best information intended to strengthen the business of tiling. To keep up to date with all the episodes, don't forget to subscribe.
Hey everybody,
Right.
Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome to today's episode. I have the honour and privilege of having James Harrington on from ScreedPro. He is the state manager for Victoria. So pretty exciting day today. I'm not going to chew up too much of your time and waffle on about me. I'm certainly going to get straight into the chat today and welcome James and get him to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself and the business background of ScreedPro.
Hello, Mark. Thanks for having me, mate. How you going?
Yeah, very good, champion. Very good. Thanks for asking.
That's the way. That's the way,
Mate. Yeah, tell us about you, buddy, and the business that you're working with at ScreedPro.
No worries, mate. So the business ScreedPro themselves have been operating for over 20 years. Originally, it was actually called a company called Mixed On Site, where in 2016, our managing director took over this business and immediately fell in love with the operation. Mixed On Site back then, mate, it was a home-built mixing trucks which mixed tile as screed for the Western Australian market for all those 20 years. And after years of planning, engineering, rebranding to the ScreedPro name, the first official truck arrived in 2019. So, not long after ScreedPro started operating then into the East Coast, where our national sales director currently, Les Stockdale, opened up the city market. Then that ventured down to Victoria, and then started in Queensland as well. So, mate, 3 to 4 years later, after the first truck arriving, there's over 20 trucks, including self-leveling ones now. So, we're set up in WA, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, as mentioned. So, it's an absolutely astonishing effort, really, for those all involved. As that growth, mate, is just in that short amount of time, it's just really just incredible for that effort there.
Yeah, mate. Look, I have to say, like, in all honesty, ScreedPro today, I think if you're in the building and construction industry, is on the tip of a lot of people's tongues when it comes to having a professional company come out and actually complete some of that construction preparation before the rest of the trades get there. Before then, it was sort of like there wasn't many people around, I suppose, that were doing that. There was a lot of independents that were sort of doing their own thing because they bought equipment. But yeah, certainly, ScreedPro is the last few years it seems to have accelerated its growth astronomically.
No, 100%. I'm sure we'll touch on the capabilities of that a bit later on. But yeah, mate, exactly right. So compared to your 4-stroke mixers or your mixing your hippos for leveler to have this operation, like it's quite mind blowing, to be honest with you.
Fantastic, brother. Mate, let's just dial it back a little bit though, and let's get into your career in flooring. How did you end up here today?
Oh, how did I hear up today? Okay, well, mate, I've just turned 30, so 2 weeks ago. So don't worry, definitely felt it over that weekend. Just over 10 years ago, mate, I think I was 19 or 20. I started working for Roberts Carpet and Tile Court in Rosebud, down on the Mornington Peninsula, where I am currently living as well. So, mate, when I started there, I had very little sales background and no construction or let alone flooring knowledge at all. So I had quite a lot to learn. And with the support of the staff and the close friend of mine, Ian Roberts, who's the owner of the company, I managed to rapidly learn a lot about the industry. And this is where I met Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor at the time was my sales rep for Sika back then. The tile department in those years at the Rosebud Tile Court was actually one of the main distributors in Vic for the CTA range of products, which, that CTA range, Mark, as you're well aware, mate, the tile adhesives, waterproofing, grouts, etc. So throughout those years, mate, Trevor's and I relationship grew and grew. I was definitely annoying him every single day, trying to get all these technical questions about, the products. Probably repeated myself 100 times too, but Trevor went on, mate, to be one of my biggest supporters and mentors throughout my career. And it was only 3 years later, Trevor, alongside Troy Hogan, employed me at Sika, and that was to be one of their sales representatives for the CTA brand in Victoria. So, mate, I was about, I think then, so I was 20, I would have been about 23. 23 years of old, been employed by Sika. So, mate, at that time, I was definitely the youngest rep within the industry, which was, daunting, but at the same time, mate, I was very excited too. It was very exciting times as well.
Yeah.
So had a really good opportunity there. After those years of working with Sika Mark, that started in the tiling to the waterproofing and flooring target markets. That's where the working relationship with really ScreedPro began, you could say. At that stage, mate, ScreedPro in Victoria, probably been in the market for a small amount of time, obviously with COVID happening, etc. They were really just predominantly in the tile industry, but they really wanted to get stuck into that floor industry and work in that market. And that's where they wanted to work with Sika to create their first self-leveling compound. We were definitely all for it at the time. So that was developed, mate. And then a year or so later, they had the opportunity to come work with ScreedPro, which was a great fit for them, but especially, mate, it was a perfect fit for me moving forward. So that's really the rundown of it, mate. We started the carver cord into the Sika to the ScreedPro. So it's been a great ride so far.
It's an incredible journey, and I think obviously there's a generation or a decade between you and I in terms of age, and certainly you've followed a very similar footprint as I had in the past, because I worked for RLA earlier in my career, but probably about 10 years, a 10-year gap between you and I. But mate, great story, and really awesome. I mean, ScreedPro obviously. They're a fairly dominant player in the market now with regards to the range of screeds that they supply contractors and or builders. I imagine is that sort of the target market.
100%, mate. Look, I think when ScreedPro really started, mate, it was your bread and butter, sand and cement, which obviously is your workhorse every day. Tiles market. Then came engineered screeds. And look, since the Australian standards, the 1884 2021 resilient sheet standards got changed back in 2021, that anything under coverings requires an engineered screed. This is where we've seen the engineered screed has just taken an extra step and really evolved in itself, which is now we're finding more and more it's getting specified, as well as tiles even wanting to use it because it's rapid of loss of moisture and it's early strength MPA, etc. So that's something that's probably really growing within the builders too, mate, to be honest with
you. And mate, I know. Look, we've got some really great questions to ask next, but I just want to throw a curly one at you before we get on to the next point. Why do contractors or builders choose to have someone like ScreedPro come and do those parts of the project for them instead of them doing it themselves?
So, mate, it probably comes down to the capabilities and obviously how we impact the construction industry. And it is a unique company, mate, which it's in a class of its own. But we talk about capabilities, mate. We have the capabilities to pump around 4 cube an hour of screed or over 10 tonne of leather per hour, which is just mind blowing, and that is just a game changer within the industry, where we ultimately save days, weeks, and months on contractors or builder schedules. Not having to have the on-site storage of bulk of bands of sand and pallets or cement, binder or leveler. That's a real big win there. But I think the biggest one with the industry at the moment, Mark, is the silica dust, mate. This is a major issue within our industry, and one of the amazing benefits of our screed pump operation is we fully eliminate silica dust generation and exposure when mixing screed, which is just a massive impact we offer to the industry. So that's something that we definitely getting a lot of movement for.
Mate, that's a pretty big, that's huge, right? That's in terms of silica dust, silicosis, people being impacted by that disease and that particle. How does ScreedPro do that with the mix? Like what's the process?
So we're as we mentioned before, we are a bit of a unique company in the way we arrive to site. We're different to an Aggie pump or anything like that. We don't come pre-mix or anything. So on our truck, which I definitely would love to give you the rundown one day, mate. You have to visit Jason up in Queensland, Mark, just to have a look at the operation.
Yeah, I played golf with him in December.
Oh, did you? Oh, good to see you
Yeah.
had a hard day. Good to see you had a hard day that day.
Oh, look, it was all it was all business development, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
We were up with a tile house up in Toowoomba, and they do their
Oh, yeah.
I know they do
Yeah,
their annual charity golf day for the hospital
yeah.
up there, and they do an amazing job. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, but mate, Jason and I go way back. I haven't seen him for over a decade because we used to sort of swim in the same circles in the adhesive space.
Yeah, well,
So
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, we both worked with each other at Sika as well, obviously, and that's how we really started our relationship prior to ScreedPro too. But no, he's a great
yeah.
man, Jace. He is.
He's a
Um,
top golfer too, mate. By the way,
is he? Oh, there we go.
hopefully he's
Thought he
listening.
would have been a hack. Yeah. Yeah, so
Sorry,
look,
mate. Back
really
to
with
you.
the yeah, well, good mate. So really with the trucks, we arrived to site, and depending on what we're pumping, let's just say we're pumping a normal regular CDL standard cement. On that truck, you'll have the sand, or you'll have the and the cement or the bind or whatever we're running that day, obviously. Um, and like I said, Mark, nothing is mixed. So then we've obviously in the rear of the truck. That's where all the magic happens, mate. We've got the mixer at the back of the truck, and then obviously we put our sand in, we put our cement in, and whatever the ratio we're doing, if it's 6-1, 5-1, and we will simply mix on site, and then we'll have our hoses set up to where it needs to be, and it'll pump on the way through. So all the mixing gets done in the truck, where it obviously is there. There is no that's eliminating the silicosis all the way through on site.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. No, certainly, mate. That's a golden thing to know because certainly the more methodologies and processes that can be implemented to mitigate and minimise the amount of exposure to silica dust will be even greater for the industry and for the people working with it every day. As someone that works in that dust management collection space in the power tool industry, there are certain levels of silica dust that I wouldn't say that. There are certain levels that, according to OSHA standards, that are deemed as a safe level to work with, and then there's levels that aren't. So I think it's that's a great thing that you guys have got on offer there. It's really awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
mate. Look, before we sort of keep deep diving into that, I want to wind it back again. I have this sort of habit of winding things back in interviews. I'm really sorry. But I sort of tend to follow a script and then I'm like, oh, no, but I haven't asked that question. So look, I'm going to dial it back and I just want to find out a little bit more about you and in particular, what it is about the industry that gets you excited every day.
Yeah, okay, so mate, it definitely be a couple of things, Mark. I reckon number one, mate, would have to be that winning feeling. And in my eyes, mate, there is no more satisfying feeling than the winning a project or getting a contractor, builder on board for you the first time, right? If that's a salesman or if that's even a contractor winning a project, let's say that feeling of winning that is it's a great feeling. And because after all that grind and hustle you've done over the months or even the years to secure that first order or getting that builder on board is such a gratitude feeling. So that's what really keeps me going every day and gets me excited, mate. Knowing, that hunting down, I often say to my colleagues, mate, we're going to war, we're going to the trenches together, mate. And that's just how I work, And so that's honestly how I feel. But yeah, that probably that feeling, mate. To be honest with you, And secondly, I'd say to be working for a company like ScreedPro. I'm not just saying that to get a pay rise, obviously, but but yeah, to work for something like ScreedPro, mate. So from pumping to screen and self-leveling, as I mentioned before, the unique way we do it and the innovation we have, it is mind-blowing, mate. And when I worked for Sika, I felt like I bled red and yellow, Mark, which is their brand colours, And for most people that know me, the dedication and energy and passion I have is quite high. And mate, I'll tell you what, that has only really gotten up a notch since working for ScreedPro, and I definitely treat and run it like it's my own, mate. So, yeah, that definitely gets me excited.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, champion. Appreciate you sharing. That's great.
Yeah.
Look, we all go through our careers and obviously throughout things that we encounter and jobs that we do and roles that we hold. We have we have wins and then we have losses, and sometimes we're successful and other days things don't go according to plan or as we expect them to. Tell me a little bit more about some of the biggest mistakes that you've made in your career and how have they shaped who you are today?
Yeah, well, okay. It's look, there's always definitely been a few things. I was going to say that probably the main ones, mate, who are shaping I am today would be the professionalism and discipline. Um, when to say a thing and when not to, Mark, you'd say. And
Yeah.
where I'm leaning towards this, mate, I'll mention in my time at Sika, where I probably showed my age in the early mid-20s and a bit of a lack of experience where I sent a few emails off to some hierarchies or may have said a few wrong things verbally, which I definitely should have. And Mark, I think with yourself having that, corporate industry and being in the corporate industry, I'm sure you're well aware of how strict that corporate industry can be throughout that time where that has definitely taught me the discipline and professionalism and which has helped me for my reputation and within the market. That's for sure.
Excellent. Yeah. I learned a valuable lesson a long time ago on many occasions, particularly in that corporate industry, that there's a drafts folder in your inbox for a reason. You write the email, and then the minute you're finished, because you're writing with emotion, you just put it in the drafts folder, and then you know what, you always make a promise to yourself that you go back the very next day, and then you go, I'm glad I didn't send that, because pretty much 9 times out of 10 you won't bloody send it.
I tell you what, it's funny you say that, right? Because it's very funny you say that because when I didn't do the draft, obviously I just clicked send, and that was a bit later in the afternoon, full of steam, etc. And that morning I definitely had a phone call straight away, and my manager at the time, well, his words was exactly what you just said. Next time, just put in the draft and don't send it. And I definitely learned from my mistakes, but no, it's definitely good for me at the same time.
Yeah, mate, look, that's it, right? Mistakes are mistakes. If you're not making them, you're not learning and you're not growing. It's as simple as that. And you have to learn to live with those mottos, because those mottos are the ones that will give you the best outcomes in life, whatever they are, and they're different for every single person because we're all looking through the world with a different lens. We all have different families and different backgrounds and different environments we grew up in. We just have to do the best we can with what we've got, and don't worry about what anyone else is doing. So,
no, exactly right, mate. 100%.
Cool. Well, mate, the industry itself, the building and construction game, tiling, all of the other trades, waterproofing, caulking, and many others out there, plumbing, electrical, have all been been through a pretty tough time the past few years, and we're still seeing some pretty chaotic moments out there at the moment with obviously inflation, interest rates rising. We've got a lack of trades. We've got people quitting the industry in droves. We don't have enough supplies. Builders are facing all sorts of challenges. Mate, with what we've been through, what do you think? How do you think the industry, with all of that in mind, and I know it's a lot to think about, but where do you believe the industry can improve? Like, what's the future going to look like?
Well, I'd say there's definitely a few things, mate. It's honestly goes to a few of the basics, mate. One I'd say straight away off the bat would just be organisation. And throughout my time, I see trades being asked to come in as a job is supposed to be ready, and by no means it's close to ready. And trades are working on top of each other, which brings in massive work health safety risks. It's builders obviously trying to reach that deadline. Yeah, they're trying to get to that schedule done quicker, and that obviously results in mistakes. So it's probably definitely moving that forward, looking into that. And that really comes down to preparation, Mark, where, I'm visiting different sites every day. And a lot of that time it's for us to, book in that pump where I'll go out and help the operator where I'll arrive to site ready for the pump and the substrate isn't unfortunately not fit for purpose. And that can come from a lack of knowledge from the contractor or builder or industry care. So that comes down to educating. So, which gives me to say, after all this is educating and education. That's a big one because if you half the time after you go on site, mate, I'm sure you've seen throughout your career plenty of times, and you ask guys about standards or it's waterproofing standards, screed standards. Half the guys don't know. And I was lucky enough last year to go to Franks and Chisholm. Steve Beaumont over there had me on, and it was a really good afternoon with all the students there and talking to them about screed and the difference between a bonded, unbonded, floating, because these guys just didn't know. And so I think on site moving forward, education is definitely a big one. And I can really see that moving the right step. I see that lately with the AS3740 with the waterproofing there at the moment. I see how much work's going on with that in the background and how they're really trying to make that awareness. So I'll just say education is definitely the biggest one, and how that industry can improve with that.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think education is forms such an important piece of the puzzle in terms of getting the industry, well, moving the industry forward in a really positive, proactive way. However, there is also another side of that, is that there is a lot of people out there in the industry that don't want to change. They just,
Mm.
for whatever reason, they're, maybe at in the midway point or the end of their career, and they're not prepared to change for anybody. And we know that there's a lot of shortcuts out there in the industry. So I'm still trying to work out in my head, how do we get people that don't want to change and follow the standards and follow the guidelines and do the things that are appropriate in accordance with AS, whatever the number might be. Because
That's right.
we're seeing more and more. There's a lot more social media exposure for people that are just not doing the right thing. Now, unfortunately or fortunately for us, we're in not so much ScreedPro, but I'm in a trade in the tiling industry where that's a finished product. Like what you see
Yes.
on that wall, floor, or in that outdoor area is what you see. So it is under scrutiny from the moment you put the first tile down.
Mm.
So yeah, look, we certainly have some pretty big hurdles to jump over in the future.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, mate. Exactly.
Mate, tell me a little bit more about ScreedPro. I mean, you've been with the business now for 4 years, and
No, mate. Yeah. Yep. Sorry, you go.
no, sorry, am I right, or did I get that wrong?
You did get that wrong. That's all right, mate. It's probably about a year now, actually.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
see, mate, this is what happens when great conversations happen. It feels like you've been somewhere for a long time.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right, let's just go with 12 months, right? So,
Yeah.
you've been there for 12 months. So, you obviously have a love for the business that you're in, and with the people that you work with, and I'm sure that ScreedPro has some functionality around how they get the best performance out of people, what their culture's like. Mate, tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely, mate. So since joining ScreedPro, ScreedPro is obviously it's a family-owned business, right? With a small leadership team, and this leadership team, mate, they really treat the company like it's their own. We all work in with each other, as we all have that one dream, mate, and that is just to grow the company as large as we can, just get those trucks out on the road. The vision is pretty clear between us all, Mark, and let's just get the company growing.
Yep.
I remember Troy Hogan actually said to me once, this is my days at Sika. He employs people on, who they are and their attitude, not necessarily their background. And that saying reminds me a lot about the employees at ScreedPro now. That's regardless if you're a part of the leadership team or if you're an operator, looking after the trucks every day. We're all similar in a way. We've all got the same kind of personalities and just get along. So we're all really on that same page for growth and really providing the best work environment possible, mate. So I think there's nothing better when you come to work and your colleagues are more than just your colleagues are just more than just colleagues. They're your mates. They're your good mates, and you can have
Yeah.
that band, you can have that laugh, and that's what it's like, mate. We're all just going to war. You'd say, Mark, again.
Yeah. One big family. That's awesome. Do you
That's
guys,
right, mate. So.
sure, I should say, do you get together regularly throughout the year? Because obviously you're all in different states, right? Jason's up here, you're down there, and is there some annual events and things where the team gets together?
Mate, they definitely want to. Obviously, the years of COVID obviously impacted that.
Yeah.
Last year, there were stages where we were able to travel interstate and catch up for sure. But yeah, I think they're definitely going to be organised something come end of this year. But that's something, that team environment you want to keep on going. But mate, we're definitely if it's not that, we're just talking regularly. I'd speak to Jace once or twice a week. We share ideas on how they're going, our market compared to theirs. So what price they need to be at or what's really going well for them. And so it's something if we're not catching up, mate, we're definitely, speaking quite frequently as well.
Yeah, nice. Excellent. Well, mate, we're moving into the back end of today, which is back end of the our chat, and look, still have some pretty amazing questions to ask. So I'm going to keep pushing through. Mate, one of the more frequent questions I like to talk to people about when they jump on the show is demanding clients. They're out there,
Yes.
and we know they are, and that's okay because as I said before, everyone looks at the world through a different lens, and everyone has a different expectation about how they would like things to be. How do you go about dealing with demanding clients?
Yeah, it's a good one, Mark. Look, at the end of the day, we try our best, obviously, and we try and work with our clients every day. Where, unfortunately, mate, from time to time, you're just not going to be able to fit in their schedule, which that mainly comes down from obviously our trucks being allocated already on other projects. So they do understand, they get it. But saying that, we are very proactive with our service to our clients, and we are lucky enough to have such a good working relationship with them where more often than not, we can work together to find a solution if that's shuffling some projects around or the guys doing some extra days on a Saturday or the weekend. So, yeah, well, more often than not, we do find a solution as we do have that relationship. But, the saying that, like I said at the start, mate, unfortunately, you do have those times where you're just not going to be able to fit in that schedule because the trucks are already allocated.
Mm. And I imagine that the communication piece for ScreedPro and for yourself would be pretty critical in that whole process of making sure that the client knows about, any delays or, schedule conflicts and things like that.
Oh, absolutely, mate. That's something we're definitely speaking to on a constant basis, especially with weather changing as well. So, that's keeping in mind if it's an internal, external job. As we know, well, Queensland, you might be okay, mate. But as you previously know from your Melbourne days, Mark, the weather can be changed on a daily basis up here. So that's something we're definitely considering. But I guess with our clients, though, mate, one thing we honestly love impacting with them is watching the growth of them, and then actually since them partnering with us, watching them grow is from what they are now capable of on projects, and see how we've benefited them to succeed. It's very overwhelming, mate. So we're just lucky enough to have those relationships with those guys.
Yeah, nice. Hey, mate, I didn't ask you before, though. I'm super curious. I know that I've had a look online and checked out the ScreedPro website and things like that, but I'd like to hear it firsthand from obviously someone that works in the business. What's the biggest project the company's been involved in?
Mate, in Melbourne?
Just anywhere, yeah.
Mate, I'd say in anywhere, it'd probably be the self-living. It actually might be the current one, I'm going to say. One Sydney Harbour there for Lend-Lease. We're pumping alongside our partnership partnered installer Allseal. They're all our ScreedMax Level R product there, which is probably, I don't know how many stories that might be, mate, but it's over 70. I think it's over 70 stories off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I'd have to confirm, but that's a significant amount of product going to that one. I know in Melbourne, we just recently finished pumping for Hutchison Builders at the Australian Unity aged care project. That was over 400 tonne of self-leveler going to that product. So, which, you think about that, for instance, Mark, obviously, not every project's obviously going to require 400 tonne. It'd be music to my ears, though. But so this is another prime example of how we benefited Hutchies on this site. You just think they've got 16 levels and 15 levels was pumped with self-leveler, and at 400,000 tonne, it's a lot of product here. So you imagine if they do that the old way of mixing that by 20 kilo bags, it'd just be a year. It'd be a year thing, So we'll obviously be able to save months and months and months on their schedule. But that's probably our biggest project in Melbourne as of yet, mate. Probably that one.
Yeah, nice, awesome. Yeah, Hutchies are a bit of a Goliath of a builder. I've followed their journey only over the past sort of 15, 16 years. But I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to deal with Hutchies up in Queensland in 2006 when I worked for National Tiles. And I was the first commercial sales representative employed in Queensland at the time. And that's when the company moved up from Melbourne and started to build and develop a visual footprint in Queensland. No retail at that time. It was just all sort of commercial and wholesale. And we have some of the very first sales or purchase orders that we won was through the Hutchinson Group. And back then, and I would say even more today, they're very family culture, and they were just really great to deal with and very easy to deal with. And they had a need for a specific type of tile, and we're able to supply a specification on that particular tile, and we ended up winning. I think it was about a 4,000 or 6,000 square meter tile job for the first one. It was actually Brook Street in Fortitude Valley.
You don't mind that as an opening order, mate?
Mate, it was pretty good. I was high-fiving everybody in the office when that happened.
Oh, absolutely.
It was.
I'd have been high-fiving myself too.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard. It was a lot of hard work to get it to where it needed to go, and with the help of the CEO at the time, it was we made it happen. But it was good. It was I feel you when you shared a few things with me today through, the successes and wins and how it makes you feel when you win a big job. It's a euphoria, right? Because there's so much hard work that goes into it. And then you're like, oh, great, finally got there. Purchase order comes and you go, you know what? I've done a great job, secured the order. Now we've got to deliver, So it's
exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah. No,
very cool. Mate, one final question before we sort of jump into wrapping up today. Post-pandemic, I mean, obviously we're all out of it now. I don't want to sort of focus too much on it. It happened. It was horrible for, many, many people. And I think the building and construction industry was quite fortunate to, in some aspects, not all aspects, but in some aspects, to continue pumping through and do orders during that time. And people had work and there wasn't really any restrictions, or there wasn't many restrictions on what we could do. Did you or ScreedPro see any, has there been any speed bumps post-pandemic, or has it just been business as usual throughout the whole, through the whole event?
No, look, the business has definitely evolved since the pandemic, mate, that's for sure, especially in Melbourne. But the way that we've obviously dealt with that, mate, we've just increased the sales team, the fleet of trucks, and probably really just enhanced the internal system, which that's made things more streamlined, should I say, which increases overall efficiency throughout all levels of the business. So that's how we've probably just dealt with that, Mark, but it's definitely evolved. And that's how we've really gone about it for sure.
Yeah, fantastic, buddy. Awesome. Mate, when we get to this stage of the interview, I really do like to fit in some final fast-track questions and get to know the guests a little bit better. And also, of course, obviously, we're sharing this with our broader audience, which is just as important. So let's talk about that for a second. I've got a few questions I want to ask you, but before I do, ScreedPro, what is, I mean, you've been there for 12 months. What does the future look like for you and for the guys, mate?
I think it's only something that can only still grow, Mark, to be honest with you. And I know we just want to keep getting more trucks into Australia and keep growing the market. I still think there's a lot to do, a lot more screeds involved in the way of engineered into the market, high-strength screeds. I think it's something with moving forward, maybe we might even to look at pumping structural grouts, these sort of things. So if we can get into the remedial market, mate, that's going to be an absolute game changer. But there's nothing but growth working for ScreedPro, and I think that's why I'm so excited, mate, because it's only green lights moving forward for the company.
Mate, awesome. That's great. Thanks so much for sharing today. I really appreciate it. So look, final fast track questions. We're going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you some doozies maybe, and we'll see how you go, mate. But it's all aimed at getting to know our guests a lot better. Mate, tell me, what would you, if you could choose one meal to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, you know what? At the moment, mate, I'm all about a steak. I'm just nice. I'm just over nice. I feel it, medium rare. Can I have a bit of peppercorn gravy on the side with that too?
Sure, mate. Whatever you like.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm a bit of a steak at the moment, mate. Too, at the moment, I'm just loving that red meat at the moment.
Yeah, nice. Are you a chips and salad or a veg and mash guy?
Mate, I'm actually a bit of a health kick guy at the moment. I'm a bit of a veggie and salad. So
yeah. Okay. No. Hey, mate,
veggie and salad at the moment.
Whatever floats your boat, mate. Rock and roll with that. Love it. What do you think about the whole? I mean, I know this is not a fast track question. This is something else. What do you think about the whole plant-based stuff? Have you looked at it at all, or are you just sort of like, yeah, whatever?
I feel my mates are like, I've got a lot of friends that are into the fitness industry, mate. And no, to answer your question, no, I haven't. I do eat a lot of meat in general, to be honest with you. With so some kale or spinach on the side, mate. But my mates are into it, but no, I haven't really looked into it myself, mate. No.
Well, the thing is, right? Meat itself, like I know this isn't a meat podcast, but it's a fantastic source of protein and vitamins, like particular vitamins, right? That you need, and particularly iron. Like
Sure.
So I don't know. I mean, I couldn't imagine sitting there popping pills till the cows come home. I'd rather just eat one, or part
No,
of one.
that's right.
So, but I'm the same. Like I'm an eye for like guy. That's me. So,
Yeah, no,
cool.
exactly right.
All right, mate. So let's talk about if you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
I've never been there, mate. But for some reason, the Greek islands for me. I've just the videos, the photos I've seen. I'm actually looking to hopefully go there this year or next.
Nice.
Because that just looks just to me that looks amazing, mate. But as an on the spot answer, yeah, I'd say the Santorini, something like that, mate. The Greek islands, it just does look absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
Something I
cool.
definitely look forward to visiting one day, that's for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm.
Fantastic, man. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
Ooh, not to send those emails to those hierarchies and verbally.
Yep. Go to drafts.
Yeah, go to drafts. There we go. Go to drafts. Yeah, there we go.
Nice. I love it. Mate, one final question. What's been your biggest failure? What's really, what's been that one thing that sort of really, you've learned from?
Mate, it'd probably just be for me, the immature decisions when I was younger. Let's say if we talk outside work, mate, definitely made
Yeah.
some immature decisions when I was younger, mate, on how it probably affected my personal life early on. But mate, those decisions can only make you stronger. And you look at all the motivational, inspirational quotes and everything like that's out there, mate. It's obviously when you get hit and how you bounce back from that hit is where you're judged, and not when you're succeeding, mate. When you're down. So those things I might have made a mistake when I was younger has definitely made the person I am today at work or just in person in general. So yeah.
Man, yeah, I hear you. Look, it's I think a lot of people that I know, particularly my circle of friends that I grew up with, and people that I hung around with at that time, I was in similar situation, made a lot of immature decisions, probably based purely through a lack of experience in life, and felt like the common thing was to follow your friends and do what everyone else is doing, as they say, and it plays off. It plays well for some people and not well for others. And but I certainly wouldn't change anything to save my life, mate. It's been a great journey so far, and got plenty of years in front of me, which is awesome.
No, exactly right, mate. 100%.
James Harrington from ScreedPro, mate, you've been absolute champion today. We really appreciate you jumping on the show. This podcast is very much all about connecting industry people, having conversations about people and businesses, and getting everyone on the same page, sharing as much useful information as we can, and help contractors and tiling contractors or any other type of contractors make some more informed decisions about what processes and procedures that they can change in their business for even more exponential results for themselves and for their customers. So thanks again, mate. It's been a pleasure having you on, and look forward to connecting with you again in the future.
Mark, thanks for having me, mate. It's been great. I really appreciate you having me on board. But also, mate, absolute credit to yourself too and what you are running here, mate. It's obviously, we haven't had this in the industry yet. So it's, absolute credit to yourself, mate. And looking forward to listening to the future podcast for sure.
Excellent, buddy. Take care and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Tiling Connect. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Tiling Connect, jump on our socials and follow us via LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. If you'd like to be part of the show, email us at tilingconnect@gmail.com. Until next time, stay connected.